Presiding Officer, can I begin by thanking Beatrice Wishart for securing this important members' debate. Over the course of the consultation period for highly protected marine areas, the level of fear across my constituency about what these proposals might mean for our islands has grown, although some recent remarks from both the Cabinet Secretary and the First Minister have certainly served to reassure about the Government's intentions. But following the consultation paper, individual island communities have had serious concerns that any designation around their own coastline would effectively end all forms of fishing and aquaculture for them overnight. And while it is important to say that it is only 10% of Scotland's seas which would be affected by the proposals, the difficulty is that no indication is being given yet of which areas are to be affected, and every community therefore presently fears the worst. There is time, I believe, to address those fears if we act as I believe the Government is willing. However, Presiding Officer, I have to be direct. I have never known my constituency to be so apparently unanimously opposed to any single policy in all my time serving as their MSP as this. And it's not just those involved in the fishing industry. Literally everyone who has spoken to me or written to me on this issue locally has expressed total opposition to the proposals as they stand. Even on recent primary school visits, I'll make progress, there's very little time. Even on recent primary school visits, HPMAs have been the first thing that many pupils have wanted to ask me about. My own consultation response details many of the concerns expressed to me by constituents about the potential ramifications of these proposals locally, and so I will not attempt to cover these in detail in the little time available. However, the key question is, in the case of a local HPMA designation, what would that mean economically to the coastal communities so affected? On the West Coast, many fishing vessels are too small realistically to work further afield. Even if they did, creelers would face the task of re-establishing grounds to work, and fish processing would be unlikely to have a future in any community potentially where fishing and aquaculture had come to an end effectively. Now, these measures would disproportionately, if implemented, I believe, punish low-impact and more sustainable forms of fishing. And with sites not due to be selected for another 2 years, I'm afraid this issue will be hanging over every coastal community between now and the site selection decisions being taken. Fishers and others who rely on the sea to make their living fully recognise the need to tackle biodiversity loss, and that loss is certainly real. But nobody I have spoken with in the islands believes that a blunt approach is the best way to go, and I would question how any such approach would be compatible in the end with the Scottish Government's commendable drive to tackle rural depopulation, as well as the overall aims and commitments set out in the National Islands Plan. So when officials finish processing responses from the HPMA consultation, I believe, I cannot prove this, but I believe that they will find islanders from all walks of life and all political persuasions fairly united in the Western Isles, in any case, to the proposals as they currently stand. And, Presiding Officer, to conclude, I know that the First Minister gets this, as does the Cabinet Secretary. I'm very grateful for their commitment that HPMAs will not be imposed on communities who do not want them. We all know that the consultation responses will show anger and opposition, but they will also show our coastal communities' passion and positive ideas for growth and sustainability in the islands. We can have that conversation, with the starting point being the Government's welcome commitment not to impose HPMAs on communities which view them as an existential threat.